All right, Rick's got our comments going.
Got it. You're solid with the comments tonight.
Man, I'm so nervous. Just kidding.
We're on, guys.
We're on.
Hey.
Tampa Fishing Outfitters live fishing report. Myself, Captain Travis in the studio, Captain James, Captain Rick, as always, and we got
Who do we have?
a special guy in the studio tonight, a legend, local legend.
Local legend.
Yes.
Captain Wes Burns came in to join us tonight. We appreciate you coming in, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Fish
invite,
killer.
guys. Appreciate it.
Joining
Fish killer.
joining us for another hour of fish talk, guys. So the fish killer. But no, we got some good stuff to talk about, guys. We of course got a nice little cold front that just jumped on us here,
Yes.
so we're going to talk a little bit about that and maybe, what's going to take place in the next
A cold
day or
front
two.
that none of us fished today in.
I didn't
Thank
fish.
goodness.
I didn't fish in it.
No, I didn't fish at all.
But gonna get cranking tomorrow. Got things going on there, and we're gonna roll right through the next couple weeks. So, looking forward to that. In the meantime, today's show is really we're gonna topic on snook because I think we can all agree across this panel of fishing guides that the snook bite, in Tampa Bay has just been really off the hook. Depending on where you're fishing, it may be a little bit better, the tides and whatnot. But I think across the board,
Was that a jab?
what's that?
Was that? I think he was talking about.
No, I'm just saying, I'm saying it's good, but in some places it's just better.
It's better.
Like,
right.
You might have felt me, but
I felt Rick.
But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I would venture to say that the snook fishing in Tampa Bay is healthy. The bite's been pretty good, pretty much throughout the day. Obviously, certain times of the day are going to be better, but I think that's something that anybody that goes out fishing this time of year can pretty much count on catching quite a few snook.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So
if you can get 127 on your clicker, snook fishing's
It's been pretty good. Yeah.
we're going to go there.
Yeah.
I'll go there. Travis had 127 on his clicker. That's pretty good.
We had one of those days, man, where the stars line up and the guys were just wrecking them.
Yeah.
So this is the time of year you can do that, And before I go any further with that, no, I wasn't sitting in one spot catching 100 snook. I mean,
Sure.
we moved around throughout the
One snook in 127 spots. Different
right,
spots.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
All right.
But,
Post a picture, Jace.
Yeah, Jace. Well, we saw the picture of Jace's snook. He posted it. I think you saw it too, right?
Was
Jace, if that's the one we're thinking of.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I
Yeah.
saw one from a guy.
That was Bucky.
Bucky.
Yeah.
That was a beast.
Yeah.
That was like a 45-inch snook,
Yep.
which is getting up there to definitely fish of a lifetime type, status on that. But guys, we're not going to steal the show away. We want to talk a little bit about Captain West. We want him to get a little airtime here. Tell us a little bit about how you started fishing, what you're doing, where you came from,
I started
and the
fishing
areas
as a
that you
kid.
guide.
Grew up in Palmasola Bay, fishing Emery Island.
Okay.
The Palmasola Bay area as a kid. My dad was with Winn-Dixie Stores and Operations for a while. We moved to Brandon and just started fishing around the South Shore area a lot, fishing Simmons Park, the Alfire River, Manatee River a lot around the railroad trestle and stuff, especially in the wintertime, catching those big snook that were there. So talking about snook's phenomenal right now. I've been doing this for since 2002 as a fishing guide. This is probably one of the best years I've had catching snook.
Yeah.
I would say it's been a long time.
They say down. I know if you've been from down there, you've heard they say down in Bradenton that if you're getting the love bugs, it's time to go catch big snook at the trestle.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is too is the dragonflies. You see the dragonflies. But snook fishing's been great. I fished with Mr. Mike Mahoney on Monday, and we wrecked him. We did a phenomenal job of catching snook, and he had a couple old friends with him. But,
Yeah, I saw those photos. You had some good fish in there too.
The thing is this time of year, you find the bait, you're a hero.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah.
a hero. You're an absolute hero out there on the
The one
water.
thing that I've noticed, and I've been telling clients, I'd say over the last probably month, is, these fish have sort of prematurely made their transition out from our wintertime haunts and are really starting to get into that springtime areas and mode of feeding and all that jazz. But the one thing that's really stuck out with me, the numbers are one thing. That really just tells me, as far as quantity, what our fishery's doing, which is really well. But the better part of that is the average size of the snook are getting
Sure.
up to that 24, 25 inch
yeah.
range.
Yeah, 25.
Whereas even 2-3 years ago,
20s.
you were in the 20s,
Mhm.
low 20s.
22,
And so
21.
it's working.
Yeah.
That average is slowly getting back up, and then, those, lower slot, upper slot fish are starting to show face too. And then of course there's a lot of the
I'm all for
bigger fish,
and I'm all for the conservation.
100%.
I'm 100% for it for the fishery here in Tampa Bay, and just not the fishery for us as captains. I mean, we got to look at our kids,
Our little ones,
our
yep.
future, and the little ones, and generations on. One day my son, that's 12 years old, might want to become a fishing guide, and I want him to catch big snook, and then I want his son and my grandchildren and his grandchildren to catch a ton of fish in Tampa Bay. I mean, we have in Tampa Bay a great fishery, and it's pretty awesome.
Without a doubt. And as a guide, part of our job is to sort of educate our clients, especially our out-of-towners. I mean, our locals, they get the picture.
Right.
But, it's always sort of nice when you get, a client from New York or Ohio or Minnesota, and they really don't know how unique the snook are.
Oh, yeah.
Like in terms of, you go a little bit up in central to northern Florida, they're not there,
Mhm.
Even the further you get down in South Florida, I mean, you start getting into the Florida Keys and stuff. I mean, they've got snook,
Mhm.
but nowhere near
Not like we have.
what we've got
Right.
here,
Exactly.
in the
West Central.
in the central portion of the state. So it is really unique, and it's just it's something that if we don't preserve it now and recognize that eventually, it's going to start to go downhill. And I can honestly say that I think with the management and the directives that are given by FWC at this point,
Right.
hats off to those guys. They are doing a great job at doing their best to try to manage the fishery the best they can.
Yeah.
And we're all in support of that. Does it affect our business? Maybe a touch, but in general, not a bit.
Yeah.
There's going to be more opportunity to have those fish out there than if we keep harvesting them. So
I'm waiting to see what FWC is going to do in May.
it's going to be interesting.
If we're going to fight to keep it closed for a couple year, another year or something like that. But
Hey, James.
it's a sore subject for a lot of people.
A lot of
And
people
I
it
agree.
is.
It's a very, very sore subject. But I have a lot of clients that come down, and all they do is want to catch snook. They don't want to put a snook in the cooler. They don't want to do anything. They just want to
have fun.
a big snook.
Right.
It was actually
Catch snook.
It was actually some clients on my boat the other day. You made a comment where you said that the average size versus years in the past. I had I've been doing it 3 years, and I've had a client come down this time of year and do several days of fishing each year from New York. And this last trip we were on was maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. He said that he's like, man, I feel the difference in these snook from the 20 to 21s that you catch 30, 40, 50 of those, but then they graduate to 25 inches.
Mike Mahoney just made a comment saying about hatchery. We need more hatcheries.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think we need more redfish hatchery, more snook hatchery. I think CCA is stepping up. They're doing a great job.
CCA and one that doesn't get mentioned near enough is Moat Marine.
Yes.
Those guys down there really put the science to work.
Mhm.
The FWC is more of a management,
Right.
and
Manage the stuff. Yeah.
implement, that sort of thing. But the Moat Marines and the CCAs and those types of organizations are the ones that are really, doing the hard work. They're the ones doing the research and the Snook and Game Fish Foundation, those are the ones that are really, providing the information back to the FWC. Not in whole, but that's a good portion of where they get their information. And so, supporting groups like that is a big benefit to not only our snook, like you said, but also our trout, also our redfish, because those guys work in cahoots and really know the science behind it, feed that back to the FWC, and together can make a good call, a good estimation on where we should be and where we're going. So, all those groups definitely do well in our area, and we anytime you get a chance to support those guys, please step up and do it, because it definitely helps and goes a long way.
It does, for sure. Like I said, we have a great estuary here, and we need to preserve it, not for us as guides and captains, and for our clients. I feel like this is the number one spot to go to. Everybody talks about Key West and Boca Grande and tarpon season and all that, but we have
everything.
growing business right now. I was reading our little article one time. 3.2 million people are going to be in the Tampa Bay region in the next 2 to 3 years. That's a lot of people.
Well, they said
and
in the next 12 to 15 years, it's going to increase by half a million.
And the tourism's going to grow. The hotels are going to be built. Look at that. Well, I mean, imagine what's happening downtown right now with the Riverwalk and the hotels and stuff like that. I mean, I'm all for it. Anyway.
Well, yeah, you've been in Brandon a long time. Well, just look at that. I mean, look at Ruskin. Look at Apollo Beach.
I was going to say,
Westchase,
one of the areas that is coming along and it's coming along quick is the South Shore Tampa Bay.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And it has been a nice little. Rick's been there, longer than I have, and he'll attest to this. But it's been a nice little jewel. Not that it's a secret, but it's coming.
Yeah.
People are moving to the South Shore area to be closer to the water.
Exactly.
To have their boats, to be available, to go to to do these things. And so, not only conservation of the fishery, but etiquette and ethics, and really trying to understand how the fishery works and the fishing works in our area is definitely important to some of these new folks that are new to saltwater fishing or new to the area. And to add to that, there's a lot of seminars, there's shows like this. All I can do is encourage people to get educated before you get out there, because it's only going to make your day better on the water.
Exactly.
Nobody's going to jump out there and just go gung-ho and get after it. So, fall back on resources that you have, which there's a plethora of those, but make sure you try to educate yourself. And the reason why we bring this up every year, especially in the spring, is we got another week or two and it's going to get congested. Yep. It's coming.
It was, you saw how it was Saturday.
Saturday was.
I came on y'all side debate on Saturday on the little South Shore area, just my old stomping grounds.
Yeah.
I started right there when Shell Point with Nick Winger, Chet Jennings, Danny Guardo, Fred Everson had his little bait shop there. That's where I started fishing. It was back in those days with Mark Thomas and all them. It was, there wasn't many of us over there, and it was awesome. I mean, and I had a great bite over there on Saturday. Had some clients on the boat, and we had a great bite. I mean, that fishery over there is, it's getting better and better and better and better. But like you said, the congestion's coming. I mean,
it's coming.
It's coming.
The beauty of it is there's enough places.
It's coming. It's coming. We saw it on Saturday morning together. When we were catching some bait.
Yeah, it's gnarly, man. But there is enough room at this point. It's just a matter of I see a lot of guys that just want to sort of fish the same. Okay, I saw that guy there. They go there. There's so many fish right now, guys, that there's really. And I don't want to blow that out of proportion, but there's so many areas to go fish that there's fish in that spread out a little bit. Get off and find a little area, find a little nook where there's not a lot of people, and believe it or not, you'll actually find a better bite than if you are going in and hammering an area that fishing guides and rec guys have been fishing for the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to do a little better if you get off that beaten path and go find a new area that's got some fish in it, and it's not very difficult as of right now.
That's what I kind of do on my off days or something like that. Go catch some bait, and I'll fish different areas. I'll see where the fish are staging up or like that. I won't go to the spots where I fish with my clients. I'll go somewhere off the beaten, like you said, the beaten path. And I'll kind of maybe learn a new area. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, but sometimes you learn kind of something new out there. And you're like, at this tide, this sort of tide, the water's coming in this way.
Well, I was going to go back to
and and these fish are chewing on this tide.
Well, you make a good point, because right now is a good time to go and do that, because we're talking about these big fish days. Like the fish are there and they want to eat. You're going to get away with maybe a little less tide movement. If you can put some bait in the well and go out and splash some out there, you should get a good indication of if that spot's going to be productive. Even if you don't have the best conditions in front of you, even if the tide's not ripping or all those things you need to happen, if you can see them eat a bit, all right, cool. Let me mark this one in the book.
Exactly.
But it's a good time to do it rather than June or in the middle of the summer trying to go scout new areas. You might be in a great area, but they're tough to get.
I think everybody's problem right now is where the bait. Everybody knows Scott. He's got the bait. So you can go out there one and throw, and you're done. But you're up. I'm in the Upper Bay right now. It's pretty tough. It's at certain locations right now, but like I said, you find bait, you're a hero right now in Upper Bay.
It's probably going to explode here pretty soon, especially if this is the last cold front we're seeing.
Address Nick here.
Yeah, so
that's a very good point.
100%. Well, go ahead, read it off.
No, snook numbers are high, but they are still the only fish in the bay that we catch 50 more juveniles to ever legally harvestable fish. There is still a lot out of whack, and there is.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I don't know what the solution to that is, unless you maybe
I think
dabble
we need
with
to change the season. And I've discussed it with other captains in the Upper Bay. Is why are we killing fish that are getting ready to spawn?
Right.
Why are we killing them right before their spawning period? I think FWC needs to kind of step in and maybe, and us as captains go, hey, we don't need to be killing fish when they get ready to spawn. We need to.
I honestly think,
season.
yeah, I honestly think too that a portion of that is attributed to the fact that, personally, I think snook were reopened too soon, and you had a target on those fish that were at slot at the time,
right?
With a lot of people wanting
and
them,
everybody's
and
licking their chops to get them.
A limited, supply out there. And I can tell you that when they first reopened snook after the 09 and 10 freezes, it was a mad dash, to get those snook. Now, is that the main? No, we've got water quality issues. There's several different contributing factors to that. But, the one thing that I can say and to kind of add to what Nick Winger says is that to take the positive out of that, we are catching the juveniles.
Yeah.
Because after the freeze, even those guys were tough to find.
Yeah,
and
they
were. So it does show, we're showing an increase. We're showing, stuff going in the right direction. Are we to a point where, we need to be offering snook kill trips? Not even close.
No.
I think with the limits, the slot limit where it's set is, I ain't gonna say a problem, because I have no problem with the way things are now. I don't personally like killing snook, but I don't think we're ever gonna have a mass or where you can go out and depend on catching keeper snook with the slot where it's at now.
Right.
I understand what you're saying. Because I think I don't think we're gonna get 30 years without the cold front that hurts them. I don't think we're gonna get 30 years or 15 years or whatever it takes before we have the red tide. I just personally don't think we're going to get that.
Pollution's always going to be a problem for us.
Right. So
anybody,
to say with the, and I'm happy with the laws where they are now. Don't get me wrong, but where they're at now, I don't think we're ever going to get to where going out and catching snook and getting keeper snook consistently like we do trout and redfish. I don't think we're ever going to see that. And I'm okay with it. I mean, I probably shouldn't be saying that, but I mean, I am okay with that.
I'm kind of like the new trout rule, 20 inches.
I like it. Totally on board with that rule. There's plenty of fish, at least on our side. I mean, I don't fish enough in the upper parts and even the St. Pete stuff to know the real deal.
Right.
But I can tell you that the South Shore, over the last 2 years in particular, have been really good on trout. Now, you get them in spurts, but I can tell you that I have not had an issue finding and catching trout.
Right.
I mean, and it's almost to the point where they've been bundled up to where it's almost like you go in there and it's hard to get them out of the client's hands because you pulled in there for 15 minutes, you caught 8 fish, and they're going, why can't we keep a limit? And I'm going, well, listen, they're not everywhere. I just happen to know where a few of these bigger aggregations of fish are.
Yeah.
And so it goes on with that. But to add to that conversation, we talk about issues and why our fishery is in this and that. One of the things that I think a lot of anglers don't really take into consideration is how good the average angler is now because of the resources that are available.
Sure.
Think about 10 years ago. Think about 15 years ago when you were fishing.
Right.
You were constantly building upon your knowledge, and it was a lot more difficult than it is today. A guy cannot saltwater fish and in a year be to the level that it took us probably 5-6 years to get to by getting on the water and really dive. I'm talking Google Earth. I'm talking about seminars. I'm talking about YouTube channels, shows like ours. So what I'm saying is an angler that, maybe wouldn't have been able to target and catch bigger snook, he's a little more apt to knowing how to do that. Knowing what gear to use, knowing where to look, knowing what bait to use, knowing what times of year to look for,
infinite,
et cetera, et cetera. And so, as a whole, I think the average angler is better than he was last year and the year before and the year before. And we're not going to stop that progression. It's going to keep getting there. So one of the answers to that is conservation and, being educated on where the fishery is today so that we can all put something in to make it better for tomorrow. And so education and that type of stuff, the new angler, he's caught 60 snook and he hasn't caught a slot. Well, chances are if snook season's open and he catches that slot fish, it's going in the cooler.
It's going in the cooler.
Yeah. And that is one of those things where if we can get over that hurdle, that'll kind of cascade into that sport fish, mentality over, fish to kill mentality.
Yeah.
And I think with the amount of people that are coming, the much as people know, that's an important piece of that, puzzle.
I agree with you, Travis.
This is just an observation and opinion of mine only, but it seems like there's a lot of glory with that harvested snook. Like that's the trophy out there I see on, social media, or people talking to each other. It's, I got my slot. It'd be cool if we change that mindset to something else. Like I got my 40 and had to go back. Because I'll take a 40-inch snook with a picture.
Sure.
More than I'll take
Absolutely.
a 32 with a couple fillets. I mean, so it'd be nice if we somehow that real trophy or that real those bragging rights were the 40-inch club versus the slot fish.
I agree.
Right.
But there was another question on there about triple tail, and not to ramble too much. I know we're gonna take a break soon, but triple tail fishing's pretty good right now, especially when you can get there on the days where you can cover some ground, Justin. And I know Justin watches our show weekly, but I see him on the water a lot. You're really looking for debris, grass lines, crab trap buoys, and good clean water for me where I've been at. I've been seeing quite a few. It's not really something I've been targeting a heck of a lot, but I'm definitely seeing them. So Justin, my advice would be in an area where close to the Gulf, where near a pass where you see a lot of crab traps on a daily basis. Maybe venture out a little bit further into the Gulf and along the beaches. And where I've seen a lot is on those grass lines when the tide's coming in or going out, and you've got that grass that bundles up. Been seeing the better numbers of those fish actually on those grass patches, drifting grass patches. Glory bingo, yeah. So I hope that answers your question. You guys, anybody else have any advice on trips, triple tail?
Nope, you covered
No,
it.
Cool.
I think you covered that one.
All right, good deal.
We'll take a break and pay some
Let's
bills,
take a break, pay some
We're
bills.
gonna come back with a trivia question.
Trivia, I
Chance
can't wait.
to win a
Blue Water
Blue
Gear
Water
shirt.
You're loving that, ain't you, boys?
Yep.
Yes, I am.
All right, guys. Hey, we're going to take a little break, pay a few bills, and when we get back, you got more fishing right here on Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report. Hang tight.
Overstreet.
There
he is.
There he is.
All right, we're back, guys. Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report. This week's episode, we got our good guest, a good friend of ours, Captain Wes Burns. Before we turn it over to him to kind of pick his brain on snook fishing this time of year, we're going to turn it over to Rick with our weekly trivia question brought to you by Blue Water Gear.
That's right. And today's trivia question is, now this you got to think. One nautical league is equal to how many land miles?
Land miles.
One nautical lead is.
Well, we're not going to tell you if you get it right, because it's not. Wait, here's the good news.
Yeah, I'm going to Google this one.
You feel free. That's what we do.
That's what they're
the
doing.
Trivia question isn't for you. It's for the audience. So the pressure's on them to throw their answers in here. But this is a Googleable. This is a highly Googleable.
It is, but you got to think.
Yeah.
You got to think about what I just said.
Why don't you repeat the question just to play it safe?
One nautical league equals how many land miles?
1 nautical league equals how many nautical miles? I was pretty close on this.
Not nautical miles.
2 miles.
Oh,
miles.
land miles. Justin, it is not 2
It
miles.
is not 2 miles.
1.15.
Nope.
Wow. Sierra, she's been on a roll lately, too.
Yep.
The Gatos crew has been just, I think, like 2 or 3 times since I've been on, they've won. No helium today. Well, we'll keep it going while we're waiting on this.
Cliff fired one off on one of the posts. He said 1.15 miles. That's off.
That's not right.
Sorry, Cliff. Now, Cliff, if anybody saw the post, I shared Cliff.
Ooh, wait a second. Wait a second.
That's not right.
Can we scroll up just a hair and just double check?
I think you had one
someone's
coming
answer?
in hot.
Nope. That's close, but
Get
that's
warm.
not right.
Okay,
warm.
so we're going to keep it going.
Warm.
Well,
Angelo is close.
Angelo, very close, brother. I think we're looking for it down to the next decimal point,
Yes.
I guess.
Yes.
All right. New comment below.
Roll down. Roll down, Rick.
Roll down.
There we go.
That's close enough, Nathan.
Nathan Mentier, you're the winner, pal.
It's actually 3.453, but here's the catch. A nautical league is equal to 3 nautical miles, and a nautical mile is 1.151
Yeah,
land
that's
miles.
what everyone started answering was that
Yeah.
1.15,
So,
but it's
just
3.
a little curveball
Yeah.
in
Thanks,
there this
Rick.
week. Yep.
Learn
Learn something.
Yep.
You know, I can't tell you that this is
If you're
going to
not
be.
learning something every day, you're
Rick's
dead.
trivia.
You're
Rick's
dead. You're
trivia.
dead, right?
Took care of
Right.
it.
This
So-
is going to be invaluable to your angling,
Yes.
future.
So
is
Nathan,
knowing that.
Nathan Mentier,
Sierra, you got it, man. You got it, but just a little late. Nathan beat you.
Give us a shirt size and come in here to Tampa Fishing Outfitters and get you Blue Water gear.
Well, no, he needs to send us our size. We've got to get in contact with Blue Water Gear
Oh.
so they can get it to him.
Okay, they'll
Yep.
send it to you. My bad.
But Sierra, again, got the right answer.
She
She's
got it.
running
She
on a
just-
good streak of getting the right answer,
Yes.
just not the first today.
Yep.
But, yeah, like we said, Wes, when it comes – snook's the subject, man. So what advice – how do you approach snook? What are the things you're looking for day in, day out?
I've been fishing a long time. I've been
Mhm.
fishing Tampa Bay region. I kind of grew up in the South Shore a little bit area. I learned a lot from Nick Winger. Nick Winger was one of my mentors over there. Jim Lemke was a big mentor of mine too, at tarpon fishing and stuff like that.
Both great guys,
Yeah, great
by the
guys.
way.
And I kind of moved over to the Tampa Bay area, inside the bay a little bit. So I started fishing out of Gandy Boat Ramp and just learning certain spots. Got with Tim Whitfield and a couple other guys. Mike Gore used to fish on that side. Learned a little bit from him. But I like looking for birds. I like looking for the glass minnows, the shad, or something like that in certain areas. So I kind of look along the shoreline and talking about getting out there on your off days and learning the water, learning little troughs, how they move, how the water moves in that trough and like that. Where the fish are going to stage in a springtime area, where the fish might stage in that wintertime area or even that summertime area, and learning those areas. I got plenty of little books at the house where I write down where the bait was a certain time of year, or I write down where these snook fish were, where a water redfish was at a certain time. Was it cloudy? Was it what water temperature?
So
was
keeping
it?
a good
Was it-
log
yeah,
of
good
all
log,
those
good log.
details.
Was that water moving in? Was that water moving out? And stuff like that. So I keep a good log. I like looking for glass minnows.
Yeah.
I love looking for the glass minnows. The glass minnows are there, and the herrings are there. Something's there.
Yeah.
That's what I like looking
Especially
The
early
life.
spring.
Yeah, the
right,
life.
Especially early spring.
Wherever that life
corners where
blooms.
those troughs are and stuff like that. I mean, there's certain areas, and I fish weed 9 lot. Everybody knows these snook pile up at a certain time of year in a certain area. So, but you learn at it, learning
Patterns.
It's
It takes
patterns.
time. It
You
takes
learn
time.
patterns. You learn where these rest fish are. I mean, you got Rob Gordon that can get up on a redfish in St. Pete at any time of the day and any time of the year. He knows where they're at, because he's learned the patterns of that, and that's what I try to do. I try to learn patterns. I work with a great group of guys in the Upper Bay and stuff like that. But
It's good to have a network.
and I
Whether
try-
you're a charter captain or you're a weekend angler
Yeah.
or
exactly.
you fish every Saturday
and
Wednesday.
when I do snook fish, I do different things when I snook fish. I take 6 rods with me. 3 of them got bobbers, 3 of them don't.
Oh, yeah.
I free line. I try belly hooking. I nose hook because one day they might eat on that belly hook, and the next day they don't. And then you go to nose hook, and they probably don't eat. And then
Yeah.
you go to a bobber, and you're like, okay, they're eating off the bobbers
Yep.
today. And it's the same thing with the redfish too. Some days I'll get out there with a dead piece of bait, and it won't happen. Throw a live piece on a bobber, and they eat. Next day you go out there, They don't eat on that bobber or a live bait. So it's patterns and learning, and it's a process. And I've worked very hard, and you guys, Rick, you've worked very hard, and Travis, and we've been out there a long time working these areas and know these areas. I mean, just like I was saying, I went on the South Shore to some of my old stomping grounds when I first started guiding, and
you used the patterns.
I knew in the past, and I knew, hey, these fish have got to be chewing at this certain time. This water's moving right.
Definitely
this
nothing beats
where
experience.
They gotta be, and different corners and stuff like that. And I went to a couple of you guys are talking. It was a little congested. I went to a couple of corners that I fished back in the day, and I didn't see anybody because I knew these fish were kind of there during.
Yep.
My trials of being a fishing guide.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of spots I know I saw one boat, and a couple of spots I saw no boats.
Yeah.
So it's work. You got to put your time in and know these fish. But like I said, I'll change the leader. Mike Mahoney was on my butt the other day because I fish with 20-pound leaders sometimes. So with a one-out hook, because sometimes they're line shy because they get so much pressure. And then you got to kind of know that because there's certain areas in over at Wheaton Island or anywhere up in the Upper Bay, you get too many boats on these fish, they stop eating. They feel the pressure from these boats. So you just got to know when and where and what time.
Experience.
So it's experience in the mix. So, but I love snook fishing. I'll snook fish all day long, and that's another thing as a fishing guide, and we all know it. If that snook bite ain't on, that redfish ain't bite, we got to try something else.
Yes.
We need to know how to throw a little bit of a mix into it and keep the lines peeling too. So, but right now the snook bite's phenomenal. We all know it is.
To answer Nathan there, he goes, "What's the best time to come fly fish for catching or release snook?"
Yeah.
Right now.
I say right now.
Yeah.
So that's a two-part question.
Yeah.
I think that you'll probably right before it gets into the spring, when you get that really gin clear water, low tides, and just through talking to fly fishing guides and having done quite a bit of fly fishing myself, I like those negative tides that we get in like December personally, like when they first start coming in. That's when I like to target snook on the fly because I think that you're going to find these great opportunities to fish to laid up fish. Right now, there's a high probability to catch one, but I think that you get those bigger fish. I just like doing it in December more than I would in February, March. But right now is when you find snook and you make a good cast and you put a fly in front of them, there's no time more than right now they're going to jump on that fly. Actually, I had somebody on my boat a couple weeks ago. We talked about it right before this, where I'm fishing on a 25-foot bay boat on a trolling motor with a T-top. I'm throwing artificials. I still got somebody throwing a fly, and just lighting them up. But so there really isn't a bad time. When I'll tell you it gets difficult, though, would be midsummer, when you have higher water levels and lower water clarity. It's going to be difficult for you to probably even spot the fish to present a fly to them. So
now is the time where you just know where they're congregating.
Sure, yeah.
We got two things here. What's the best lure for snook? And we'll get to that in a minute. But I want to answer Barry here because I think he might get different answers from us on this. If you could only get one, power pole or electric trolling motor.
Let's call it an iPilot or Rodan, something like that.
Which one would you get? And I don't think he's asking which trolling motor to get.
Right.
He's asking
power pole or
trolling motor.
What's your take? We'll just go down the line.
Oh boy,
that's a tough one. But
right now, because I've been operating on with boat with neither.
Yeah.
So I can tell you which one I'd rather have back.
Which one?
The power pole, 100%. I'll take my power poles.
Same here, power pole, because especially with as quiet as outboard engines seem to have gotten over the years, I'd rather be able to coast in. But yeah, there's just something I don't want to mess with an anchor ever again in my life.
Right.
No.
Well, for me, right now, power pole.
Yeah.
Come fall, give me that trolling motor.
Yeah.
Because when I start trying to chase the redfish,
you don't want to be on the
motor. I want a trolling motor. But so Barry, buy a power pole now, and in the fall get you a trolling motor.
Trolling motor, you're good to go, bro. No doubt. Well, I can tell you that I told Rick this story a little bit earlier, but my trolling motor was in the shop. I'll have it tomorrow, but not really a big issue with it. But anyhow, so I've been running without a trolling motor. Well, in some of these areas, you can move 50 yards and be on a totally different bite.
I agree.
Around some of these islands. So I had some of my regular clients with me the other day, and I said, guys, I'm just going to jump in. It was, felt like 300 degrees. I said, I'm going to jump in. I'm just going to push the boat up to the next spot. We're going to ease up, and then I had a power pole out, so it was one power pole, and then I was setting an anchor to keep us, along the shoreline. So just that in itself, like, I would have taken over the last, 4 or 5 days of fishing. I haven't had a trolling motor, but when my power poles went out, that was a game changer.
Yeah.
And to go back and think, I only lost one of them. Like, I just didn't have both my poles.
Yeah, you still had one.
And to go back to that swinging, dude, it was like I was so out of it. Like, I'm like, I don't even know how to guide anymore, But no, I got in the water, set the anchor out, and got it set up. But
if you told me that I had to run trips without one or the other, I'd say give me power poles.
Right.
For the way we fish.
About a year or so ago, I didn't have any on my boat for about 2 weeks. No power poles. I about lost my mind.
Dude,
you
go
I
crazy.
called Brandon Frank. I was like, dude, I'm about to go crazy, man. I can't throw this anchor out one more time.
How do we do it? How do we do it in the 80s and 90s?
Yeah, how we do it? How we do it?
Hold on, we got a comment here from Adam. Rick, we know you will never have a spot like anything unless it's a power pole.
That's Adam. You know me, brother.
Yeah, that's true.
I got the knee knocker, and I love it. That's
funny.
for sure.
Yeah, power pole is.
Go back to bed, Adam.
It's a game changer.
We got another question here about the top snook bait. And we're going to show you something here in just a second, but let's hold off. Let's talk about go-to snook bait starting down at Rick's end.
Go-to, for me personally, I like topwater fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to go fishing and I'm going to use artificial, for me, give me a Zare spook. Let me take those front hooks off, just leave the back hooks on, and I'll fish with that all day long.
Yeah.
And if I catch a tenth as many as you catch on another lure, I'm happy.
You still have a bit more fun.
I love the topwater game.
All right. Travis?
Well, for this time of year, I'm going to say for this time of year for snook fishing, it would have to be the Mirrodine.
Yeah.
It would have to be a Mirror or Mirrodine. Now, I don't care the size. You can use the small one or you can use the Mirrodine XL. But with the way these fish are firing off on this whitebait, for just the average angler to go out and go catch fish, even if you don't catch bait, if you put a Mirrodine on and go slinging around the trees right now, you will get hammered.
Mm-hmm.
For the guy that's a little more technical, I'm going to go with the Yaeckel jig in a number 313 gold glitter.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going to go with.
Wes?
Storm. I'm a
313.
Surprise.
I'm a storm guy. I like
Storm, man, yeah.
I like
the
those
swim
storms.
baits,
Yeah,
right?
The swim baits.
Mm-hmm.
I like those storms. They're nice. Been using them a little bit now. Fire River, on the edges, on the deep trough right there. So, been fishing that area. I've been fishing that area for the last 3-4 months right now, and getting out of my old stomping grounds, learning something new. That's what I've been doing. I've been in downtown Tampa. I've been
really enjoy fishing that part of the
Alphi
bay up there.
area. I've been in the creeks. I've been around that area. The kids.
Are you talking about the shallow divers, stick baits?
Yep. And then fishing that ledge in the Alfire River and fishing up in the Alfire River. I've been fishing the docks and stuff, using the storms and stuff like that too. I like them.
Do they still make the bomber long A's?
Yes.
Because in 1991, I said
Look at Jace.
I wasn't.
Yeah, I saw it.
I wasn't
Long
guiding.
A bombers. Oh, I
Long
love
A
it.
bomber.
I wasn't guiding back then, but
Huh.
in 1991, I set out. My goal was from January 1 to December 31st to catch 1,000 snook on artificial, and I caught 888 snook that year, and I caught 95% of them on bomber long A's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Those are
That'd be my so for big snook, that'd be it. I'd still say something like that.
I
A
finally
long
finished high school. My dad got me a Sunbird, and I used to put my rods in there, and all I had was bomber long A's
Those-
on it. And I used to
they're
go down
go-tos.
to the railroad trestles
Yes.
and run the
You
railroad
could troll
trestles
'em,
up
you could
and down
throw
and
it up
troll
under.
'em up.
A lot of people
Big kids.
group patrol with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going back down, I'd have to. Listen, no. I'm saying, but if we're gonna go back there, I'm gonna have to bring out one that just didn't get talked about, and that's the Head and Czar spook.
Yeah.
Because
I did talk about.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
All right, I had my ears closed.
That's his
mine.
pick.
that was yours.
That's mine,
Okay, I'm
baby.
sorry. I thought you
Give me
said
the-
bomber long A's.
No,
I
my
was out.
favorite
Okay.
one. If I was gonna,
Okay.
give me the spook.
Yeah, that is a. I mean, in the bone color or just the silver,
Yeah.
mirror. Yeah. Sorry, Rick.
No,
That's
it's all
my
right.
bad.
My philosophy on snook fishing with artificials is, I just look at that lateral line that they have. You can feel it, if you run your fingers down it, it sticks out. So I'm always looking for vibration. So I'm a big paddle tail person. In fact, that's really, right now, I would say just go to a bigger, like 4.5 inch paddle tail. Cleaner the water, the more natural of the color. We'll get into some color choices here when we talk about a bait. But That's so funny. We've got a
52 M11. That's an old school redhead.
Yeah.
White body
Talking about the
redhead,
old
which
days
is
of long A
my
bombers,
pawpaw.
I used to fish the creeks back in the day before it was over in Apollo Beach. What's the big neighborhood over now?
Mirror Bay.
Mirror Bay.
I grew up fishing there.
I got video of Mirror Bay in like 1987, 88, something like that, catching snook on
I used to go back in those creeks on a little John boat with a little trolling motor.
Yep.
Rattle traps.
72
Yeah.
M11.
Rattle traps.
We called that the
And
snook
that's-
hole, where it would
Rattle
turn
traps.
by Wolf Branch.
You could run a rattle trap in there because you had no grass to deal with.
Yep.
Dude, the rattle traps.
Yeah.
Rattle trap for a snook. They make the big saltwater ones now. I don't know if you've seen them. They're for like big game.
Yeah.
Big game stuff, like trolling offshore.
Red and white rattle traps.
Rattle traps.
That's
Hammer
funny.
them, dude. But at the end of the day, guys, what we've really sort of laid on
Top
the table
water, suspending.
is anything that
Yeah.
looks like a white
Soft bait,
or
white
acts like
bait,
a white
yeah.
bait. I mean,
Yeah.
really, we're not throwing a pinfish lure. You're not throwing this, but
Right.
you start going into live bait, and
But
we'll
something-
dive into some other stuff.
But something
you know
to
what I mean?
encourage about the hard baits, spooks, storm bombers, the one you mentioned,
Mirrodine.
Mirrodine. I promise you, especially for trout fishing with the Mirrodine, if you'll take that front set of hooks off
Mm-hmm.
and just you will not miss. You might miss one out of every 20 that you would have caught with two sets of treble hooks, but you're going to be friendlier to the fish. And if you're trout fishing and you're not keeping trout, you're going to send those fish off a lot healthier. And it's not going to make a difference on the action of the bait, and it's just better for the fish.
Right. In fact, sometimes I feel like, especially with snook, that when you get that corner hook set, especially with a rear treble, a lot of times when you put that other treble catches somewhere else up in the other, it's putting your leader in a prone spot, So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I do it to all mine.
Yes. Yep.
That's
funny.
But I love that live bait.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Who loves that white bait?
Yes, sir.
Give me some deans.
In
Give me some
March.
sardines.
Give me that oil out of that baby.
That's right.
Hey, Dustin Pack, I saw you just join me, and we had some questions earlier on fly fishing. So I don't know if you want to scroll back up. I think it was Nathan asking some different things about time of year. So if you want to scroll back up and give your opinion on that, by all means. What's your thoughts on single inline?
Never done it.
Yeah, I've done it. I've fished with baits. A lot of baits now are going to that as their standard. Rapala being one of them is offering that in a great many baits. Now you have VMC, Owner, several other hook manufacturers that are producing them. I haven't had anybody say that uses them with regularity that they've noticed anything different. They tend to prefer it for their own safety and the safety of the fish. And I'm noticing that more and more manufacturers year over year are starting to treat that as the norm. So
I noticed it this year in some trolling baits too.
yeah,
That they really started going.
Rapala big time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Some of the grouper plugs.
Grunts, aka pigfish.
That's
yeah.
my favorite right there.
Yeah,
dude.
give me a
you give me
grunt.
give me a handful of those and put me on any dock, buddy.
Oh, put me in the pass.
I'll find
or something.
one. I'll find one.
I like using the butterfish sometimes.
Well, butterfish, yeah.
I've caught big trout
Hey,
on the
Chris.
butterfish.
Hey, let me tell you something that happened
I've
to
got
us
some
last.
really-
Let me tell you something that happened to us last summer. A lot of guys, the summer moves around and we get this fry bait moving in, and I see guys, and Rick will attest to it. When you get those maharas, and you're just and you're slinging them out.
Yeah.
Keep a handful.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor and just keep a handful and chum with them little Peter baits and put that mahara on and watch what happens to it.
I tell you what you can
They
do with those little
will
baits.
hammer them, dude.
Put you
Hammer
about
'em.
4 of those little baits on the hook and throw it out there and watch the snook go crazy.
Well,
just put 4 of them on in every direction, man. You throw it out there, it's just a bait ball doing this in
Yeah.
the water.
Rick's
They will
feeding the
absolute-
buffet.
They
But-
will
but no, I mean,
absolutely.
Come to Rick's buffet.
They can't
Yeah,
help
Rick's
it.
buffet,
Rick's
baby.
buffet. Ricky,
And I had a
Ricky,
client-
4 for 1.
I had a client do that on the boat. He's like, how about if I just load this thing up, and he
Yeah.
puts like 6 on there, and I'm like,
Hey.
I don't know. We could try it. And
The
he threw it out,
cocktail. That's what we
And
call it. Cocktail.
and he threw out there and whap,
Bam.
whap, whap. And I'm like, well, I'm going to run out of bait, but
I
It's
usually
all
do
good.
that when I'm mackerel fishing because I got my long shank hook and I
Yeah.
can put about 5 of them on there.
Yeah.
Go, yeah, you're gonna get that big mackerel. Here he comes.
The old white bait shish kebab coming at you, baby.
Exactly. Yeah, I can put about 5 of them on that long shank. Here you go.
Oh yeah, live ballyhoo. That's
gotta-
something
I gotta
I
try
learned
for
as a kid,
mackerel.
Manny. I definitely remember ballyhoo being something when I was in my teenage years as something the coveted bait for dock lake fishing. You know,
and needlefish.
Needlefish, yeah, anything long, skinny, you know, that's it.
Right.
Got to be right up your alley,
Yeah.
Rick. But
Ain't nothing skinny here, boy.
well, guys, we got about 10 minutes left of the show here. There's a few other things that we need to cover tonight. First and foremost is something that Tampa Fishing Outfitters has been working on, and James has got the information sitting here in front of him. And anybody out there that is a fishing guide, whether you've been around for a day, whether you've been around for 20 years, it's just something that you're going to want to open your ears up. They're launching a new captain's program, and I won't go too far into it, and I'll hand it off to James. But, share and copy this, or, share it to your friends, because this is a really good program that you guys have put together.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that if you get on board now, you're going to – you're going to help your business, and B, you're going to put quality products on your boat. So, James, why don't you
I'm not really going to get into any of the details. I'm just going to say that I know
details.
I know a lot about captain's programs, and I don't think that there's been one from a retailer that's been this good to the local fishing guide. As much as we burn through product, as much as we burn through cast nets, as much as we burn through you name it, we're always needing something. And through the Lee family, they've been supporting the local fishing guide long before I ever started fishing. And Rick, I know you've been affiliated with them for a long time too, but I think that this is going to be a game changer for the local guy. And what we're doing is we're targeting the local fishing guide. This isn't a national program. This isn't the East Coast group. This is something we're trying to do for the local fishing guides that send business into our store and buy products in our store, not online. So, I'm just going to leave it at that. You're going to be hearing some more information about it. You can reach out to us at the store. TampaFishingOutfitters@gmail.com is the email address, or just give us a call. All the staff is up to date on it. But I promise you, when you see the details of this, it's going to be hard to live without. So it's live now.
It's good details.
It's very good details. Yeah, it's live now. Wes, I gotta show you, man. I haven't even been able to show you. So it's something we've been working on for a long time. We're definitely excited. We want to get as many captains on board as we can.
So there'll be a main launch for this, where this is information's
it's live now. We have a captain's database locally. I'm gonna lean on each other and word of mouth throughout the industry to get the word out. But if you want to be proactive on your end as a fishing guide, feel free to give us a call. If you're a local guy, we'd love to get you on board.
Cool. Sounds good.
Cool. Well, guys, again, if you've got any other questions, fire them off. We got a minute or two here. We just want to thank everybody once again for supporting us. We've got some really interesting stuff coming up over the next few weeks that if you follow our show, you're going to want to definitely hang tight. We got some cool stuff coming. We got some changes coming. Big changes. In several different avenues. So it's really exciting. We got that rolling. Without further ado, if you are looking to get out and do a fishing charter, Captain West, how do they get a hold of you, brother?
Yep. Gulfside Fishing Charters or Captain West Burns, area code 813-394-7509. I fish out the Hula Bay boat ramp right there. Well,
did they ever fix the dock?
Huh?
They ever fix the dock?
Fixed the dock yet. We've been picking up at the marina, or I've been picking it up at Gandy Boat Ramp.
Okay.
I'm having them jump off the bridge on the boat.
Dive bomb?
God knows. We had lunch with Tim Whitfield and Jay Plastic today and Frankie Diaz, and we saw the crane or whatever was going to fix the docks. It's been sitting there for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden it disappeared today. It just took off, and it's like nothing has been done.
Yeah,
and,
it's been that way for a while.
We're done.
It's tough.
Yeah. And I'm sure Todd that runs the Hula Bay restaurant,
he's dying.
He's probably losing his mind.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people are. Here we are. I mean, here we are with another great weekend coming up.
Right.
82, 83 degree weather. And like you said, it's going to be congested this weekend.
It's coming.
And we all probably have trips and stuff like that. But that's another time that, as I was saying, you try something a little different. With your clients, you go check out a different area. You don't go into that congested area. You go try a little something different.
Yeah.
And variety fishing. We right now, we've had some snapper on the reefs and the rock piles, and still have some good sheep's head and stuff like that. I got word little mackerel is starting to show up.
Mackerel are definitely starting to show up.
I threw Rick the bone
I
last
tried
week.
to find them. I didn't go where you said. I went to a spot I normally find mackerel sooner, and it was a ghost town.
Yeah, a little variety fishing.
Yeah.
That's what I've kind of learned in my days of guiding. Because when I first started guiding,
to diversify.
That redfish and snook bite was my favorite bite of all, and sometimes it didn't happen, and I was like, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah.
But now I've learned over the years of being a fishing guide, you got to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of those middle of July days that the snook aren't going to eat, and the redfish are going to throw.
Yeah,
when we do the fish camp, when we did the Florida Fantasy Fish Camp, we're like, oh, what do we do now? Okay, now it's time to go mackerel fish and hit a couple rock piles.
Yeah.
So
we're doing a lot of mackerel and shark fishing.
That's experience of being a fishing guy.
And it is, and it's been mentioned for our viewers that watch the show. We talk about it all the time, but it's really knowing your customers' expectations.
Sure.
Yep.
Figuring those out before you leave the dock. If your customer hired you to catch a 40-inch snook, well, I'm 40-inch snook fishing all day, whether it's going to be fun or not.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say you want to bend the rod, well, if I can go catch snook, we're going to go catch snook. But if we're catching grunts and ladyfish and mackerel, well, that's bending the rod.
Yeah.
And then you kind of feel it out. But you learn that as a guide, And we always pitch that on the show because, you get there's some guys and gals and families out there that, we sort of get in depth, and we like to target those inshore game fish, the snook, the reds, the trout. I mean, that's and the tarpon when they're here,
Exactly.
But we fail sometimes to really highlight what the bay really has to offer.
Sure.
And so for the young angler, for the inexperienced angler, for the guy doesn't have a shallow draft boat, there's plenty of opportunity out there to have a good day on the water, go catch fish, enjoy the Florida weather, and have a good time.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
we do our best to try to enlighten those folks, and we always welcome those types of questions. There isn't a dumb question, so if you've got something, feel free to shoot us a message, comment on the video, and we'll do our best to get back to you. But guys, we're about out of time. We appreciate you watching.
I appreciate you guys.
Justin, I'll get with you. We'll talk that through, brother.
Good seeing you
Yeah,
again,
man.
boss.
Good
For
seeing you,
sure.
Ricky.
Wes,
Travis.
we'll see you out there, brother.
James.
Good times.
I know I'll see you out there.
Guys, it's been a good show. Same place, same time next week. And until then, tight lines and catch them up.
Cool.
Out.
I didn't see these comments. What's all that? You got yours.
That's my party. My
He's got
watch
his
party.
own show going.
My watch party, dude. You see how many people joined it?
Why don't we set this up on a watch party?
Yeah. Dude, look how many people I had join, man. I had half of the Facebook on there. Dude, I had people from New York, like Gene DeRay. I had some old friends on there that are out. Mike Mahoney, need more hats.